Hi everybody, welcome to my real-time final plunge video. This video is my real-time final plunge of my old real-time final plunge theory. It was based off of a Rupert Mathews book theory on how Titanic sank, so I'd strongly recommend you please buy it. Though this version of my theory is very outdated and the Rupert Mathews book was wrote a while ago, but it's still a great book. Please check it out. This version of my theory is quite inaccurate as well. Several timing issues. Also in a Rupert Mathews book theory, which I based it on, there was a few things that didn't mention, so instead some of this might just be a bit like speculation. I hope you enjoy the video. By 2:02 AM, the Titanic is starting to sink more rapidly. The bow began to submerge at about 1:45 and by 2 AM it's under. Well, at about this time as well, the band are continuing to play Boat C is being lowered into the water. Work begins to load Boat D. Well, Boat D is being loaded at this stage. Well, the quartermaster Arthur Bright steps aboard, and meanwhile Captain Smith walks into the bridge to tell the radio operators they've done all they can and it's time they abandon their posts. However, though, they continue to send out signals, unaware that they're no longer transmitting due to their loss of power. Well, Alexander's ragtime band starts to play. It's about 2:04 AM. Well, Boat D starts to lower into the water. Well, Titanic is at a port list of about 8 degrees. Well, as Boat D starts to lower into the water, Boat A is being prepared to be pushed onto the deck. However, due to the dimness of the lights, they struggle to notice the guy wire in their way on the deck, which later hinders their attempt to get the boat up the deck. Meanwhile, at this time as well, Boat 2 rounds the stern, the starboard gangway. However, when it starts to row, they decide to row away. It's been debated as to whether or not Boxall actually saw the gangway or not. Well, because in a later interview, he said he saw the gangway, but his huge trouser. But this was his 1960 interview. However, I do believe he saw it because, therefore, if he said it earlier, he could have gotten some sort of trouble, questioned for not going back there. But as it was a lot later in life, it wouldn't have mattered too much then, whether or not what he said, if he did or not. The report list says 8 degrees and is gradually worsening to 10 degrees. Well, Boat A is pushed onto the deck this time, and an attempt is made to load it onto the falls. However, where they struggle to push it up the deck due to the list to port, basically. On a side note as well, in the Rupert Mathews theory, which my old theory is based off, it only mentions the first funnel falling and doesn't mention the second, third or fourth funnels falling. However, since it was generally accepted then that at least the second and third funnels had fallen, that's what I'm going to be showing in the video. I'll be showing the timings which they fall I've tried to base off of testimony, at least the second funnel. And for the fourth funnel, I've chosen to show it still standing post-break because that's what many witnesses said happened. By now, water is nearing the boat deck. Well, the bow is submerged by now. Well, meanwhile, in the wireless cabin, a stoker runs in and tries to steal Philip's life jacket while Bride is collecting his things. Well, Bride is enraged to see this and has a fight with the stoker. They finally knock the stoker out unconscious. Well, Philip's also joined in the fight. They finally knock the stoker out unconscious because they recalled him slumping lifeless to the floor. Well, basically, boat B is also pushed onto the deck. It lands upside down. Well, meanwhile in the water, Emilio Portaluppi, not in the water, in the boat, still on board, Emilio Portaluppi wakes up and realises that the Titanic is sinking, having woken up to find all of his belongings strewn about in the room at a crazy angle, so he realises that the ship is sinking and runs out where he jumps overboard and is later picked up by another boat. Well, Thomas Ranger earlier slid downfalls, and Fred Scott also swims downfalls and is shortly after picked up by boat number 4. Well, by this time the bridge is flooding basically, or the band play Autumn. The band are playing Autumn. Well, at this time as well, Captain Smith walks over and shouts, "Every man for himself." Sorry for coughing as well. Well, by now, crowd is starting to form at the stern as well by now, as many people abandon hopes of climbing onto boat B. While Captain Smith walks away, another passenger, William Mellors, notes that the captain appeared to be crying. Well, meanwhile, boat B is overturned to water and starts to drift away. It's now 2:10 a.m. and all of a sudden Titanic returns to an even keel. Titanic gradually returns to an even keel, might have rocked slightly. Well, meanwhile, boat D is also rowing away. 2 passengers had jumped in earlier. The Titanic plunges forward slightly. The deck seems to rise and then it drops down again. A wave is produced by the water going up the deck. It is later described to wash all the way up to the base of the number 2 funnel. While Charles Lightholder jumps off the roof of the bridge and swims. While he's swimming, he swims and sees an object, then realises it's a crow's nest and will go down the rest of the ship. So he swims away. Well, he's then sucked down. Well, he recalls being sucked down to a blower and then was freed again. And then it happened twice and he continued to swim away. And eventually reached boat B. Well, crowds of people jumping. Well, there's crowds of people at the stern, while many others are in the water at the forward end. Water starts to build up around the first funnel. Well, the band start to play we're also playing their last song, Nearer My God to Thee. The version played is debated. Several believe it was Horbury or Propardio, but Bethany is very unlikely, even though it was shown in film Titanic, because most of the band members were either Methodist but wouldn't have been like playing a Bethany tune. With water building up around first funnel, the guy wires snap and then it falls forward and starboard. Well, it narrowly misses boat B and pushes it away from the sinking ship. Well, Jack Thayer and Milton Long have also jumped earlier. Well, Thayer also notes that he never saw Milton Long again after jumping. Well, Titanic is actually listing very well, like a degree to starboard. Well, a rumbling sound is heard as all furniture and fittings move forwards. Well, an original debated myth is like, well, there's like a riddle of like a story that was like well known, like well debated in the Titanic community, like well around about that an officer committed suicide or that a crew member did. Well, it's been widely accepted to be Murdoch in many depictions, like the 1997 film, it's shown to be Murdoch. However, this simply is not true because, and in fact, Murdoch's family were enraged at James Cameron after he showed it, and James Cameron had to apologise. Well, most likely the Titanic community have currently came to the conclusion that it was Officer Wilde. Well, Jack Thayer resurfaces at this time and looks towards the ship. Well, it's also been debated that Thomas Andrews was seen inside the ship, this stage of the sinking, spending his final minutes in the smoking room, but this is also likely didn't happen, as he was actually seen on deck. The encounter in the smoking room was a lot earlier in the sinking, a while before boat 15's lowering. By now it's 2:40 AM and water is up to the base of the second funnel. While Thayer can't see Milton Long around, all of a sudden the vessel starts to split just about forward of the third funnel. The vessel also splits just forward of the fourth funnel as well. And the second funnel topples into the water, narrowly missing Jack Thayer and also emitting sparks and steam. Well, by now the forward two funnels having fallen, and a huge crack forward of the third funnel being there, the Titanic starts to dive down. Well, the third funnel also topples into the water at the starboard side and slides down the deck. Well, the Titanic stern continues to rise into the air, submerging to about the fourth funnel, basically. When the Titanic stern reaches Titanic had earlier broken near a 20-degree angle when second funnel falls. Well, according to the Rupert Mathews book theory, the bow pulled the stern and then the middle section tore away, causing a twisting motion. Well, I'm gonna show in this video, therefore, that it gets pulled to the fourth funnel because several witnesses accounted for a ship going to the fourth funnel, though we know that it didn't get that far, because if it did, then it wouldn't have broken in front of the third funnel. Well, a rumble is heard as the ship's stern stands on end, and then the stern starts to break away from the bow, which heads for the bottom. Then as soon as the stern comes back up to the water, the middle section, which is waterlogged, dislodges and then breaks off as well. Well, the Titanic stern remains afloat briefly. Well, George Simmons, in boat number 1, notices that everything forward of the fourth funnel was gone and that he thought it would float. Well, Thomas Ranger noted that the break was forward of the second funnel. However, the context of this account applies forward of the fourth funnel, since those are the only two funnels thought to be visible during the break. Other witnesses like Percy Keane and John Poindexter mentioned this as well. Well, other witnesses also mentioned everything forward of the fourth funnel being gone when the stern righted, such as Frank Evans and Edward Bewley. Well, he might have been talking about it, but George Crowe also mentioned it. Well, the stern starts to rise into the air. The aft funnel reaches the surface of the water and doesn't fall. Well, Jack Thayer said as well that he did not believe it fell. The stern rises vertically into the air and remains there for a couple of minutes, also listing to port again post-break. Well, it's been debated also the lights went out after the first break-up. However, it's been debated if there were emergency lights on in the aft end. I do believe there are emergency lights briefly due to steam pressure decreasing. However, they couldn't have lasted for more than 20 seconds, since the steam lines would be broken and the steam pressure would be decreasing. So they probably also, my theory, would have been dimming as well. There's also been debate of an oil lamp being placed on the stern. However, again, I don't believe there's an oil lamp there, because several witnesses seem to have mistook the stern lights going out as the ship actually disappearing, which I think would be a lot less likely if there was an oil lamp on the stern end. Though witnesses did account there being an oil lamp. But for me, it just wouldn't go with those that said that the ship was plunged into complete darkness after the break, which is what the majority said, or even mistook the lights remaining on. Mistook the lights going out as the ship actually disappearing. The stern is now at a vertical position. Well, people fall from the deck in masses, as described by Thayer. The stern also pivots, having detached from the bow. Pivots 180 degrees, as recalled by witnesses. Well, similar to other theories, such as Roger Long's theory and the Bill Vanek theory, the Rupert Mathews theory has the ship starting to fail at a low angle, then rising to a high angle before sinking. By now it was 2:19 AM, while the stern gradually starts to slip under. Well, of the 2,208 people on board, 1,496 were killed in the sinking. It's been debated as to what the number was, but recent studies have confirmed or made it most likely it's 1,496, because there's 2,208 people on board and 712 survived. So 1,496 were lost, therefore. Well, the stern goes under. Some cargo hatches burst, and finally at 2:20 AM, the Titanic stern finally goes under, leaving 1,496 people to die in the North Atlantic. Well, Boat 14 and later comes back to help, but by then it's too late. For Boat 4 also picked a few up during the sinking near the end, and Boat 14 also picks a few up. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please check out Rupert Mathews' book on Titanic. It's a really good book, even though the theory's outdated a bit. And yeah, please check the book out, because it's a really good book and uses survivor accounts. Please check the book out, it's a good book. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. This video is dedicated to the 1,496 people who lost their lives when the Titanic sank. May they all rest in peace.